Hello and welcome to Clay Jarvis Guitar. In this live stream, I am going to be talking about the major scale and how important it is. And really what's important is how you master the scale. I'm going to be talking about 5 different positions that you can play the scale in, and that's going to enable you to play all over the fretboard. So I'm going to talk about some really cool things that you can do with the major scale. And basically, once you learn these 5 positions and kind of get that down, it's going to be just a matter of kind of working out your own style and your own creativity and being able to do the things you want to do and play up and down the fretboard in any key. So today, I'm going to focus only on the G major scale, but I am going to show you how to connect the patterns and how to pretty much, there again, play in any key up and down the fretboard, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I don't want to waste any of your time, so let's go ahead and get into it. Now, if you have your guitar handy, then go ahead and grab it and follow along with me, if you will. And if you have any questions, just be sure and put those in the chat, or if you're looking at the replay, just go ahead and put them in the comments. But if you are watching me live, go ahead and let me know where you're watching from. Let me know how long you've been playing guitar. And there again, any questions you have, I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. So first of all, let's go ahead and talk about whenever I say master the major scale, what do I mean by that? Master the major scale. Well, what I mean really is just several things, but we're going to talk about each one of these things kind of individually. The first thing that I really think about is I think about training your ear and being able to really hear the major scale sound, and which is the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do sound. So it's really important to just be able to hear that and just know that major scale sound. So let's go ahead and take a look at some guitar, and let's go through that just real quick. And let's see what we got. So think of this G note right here. It's your bottom E string, 3rd fret. And I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1. And that is your major scale, 7 notes. And that is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So you can go ahead and sing it to yourself or sing it out loud. It's fine. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So you want to be able to get that down where you can really hear it. And we're not just going to play right here. We're going to play in some different places. So let's go ahead and try out some of the places you can play on the fretboard. And we're going to be focused on G as your root note. So here's your G right here. There's your next G right there. So then we can go from this G. Then we can come down from this G, land on this G right here. Now we can go. Now we're on this G right here. And of course, we can walk our way down there. So we basically played through all 5 positions. It's just I only played just little phrases of that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scale. So we're going to talk about some different things. The formula for the scale is really important. And what you want to do there is, let's go ahead and take a look at this chart. Fix this real quick. And here we go. So this is the chart right here that I put together. And this is actually a PDF document that you can download for free. I've got it in the link of the description in this video and a lot of my videos on my channel. So you should be able to find it really easily. And it's a 23-page document. This kind of gives you a summary. This is the main thing we're going to talk about right here is this diagram. But we do talk about, this website, and then there's some other stuff here that we'll kind of go over. But this is a great document. And I really believe that it'll help you. Once again, you can download it for free. You will be joining my email list, being a part of my community, which I really appreciate it. You don't have to worry. I'm not going to spam you. There's not going to be any of that. So, you know, I'm only going to send out emails if it's, you know, maybe telling you when my next live stream is, or maybe, you know, it's just something cool that you're gonna want to see, or you're gonna enjoy, or it's going to be, you know, good. So let's go ahead and move on here and talk about this diagram right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up this snippet of it, and that way I can use my color chart here. And I know you can kind of see my guitar down there just a little bit. Now you can, sorry about that. So there you go. You can see a little bit of my guitar, but mainly focus on this chart real quick. And let's talk about the formula and just talk about some basics. So we're going to start out with the whole steps and half steps. So all that is a whole step is 2 frets up or down on the guitar, and a half step is 1 fret up or down on the guitar. And so the major scale consists of, you know, there again 7 notes, and then it goes back to the 1 or the octave. So between 1 and 2, there's going to be a whole step. 2 and 3, there's a whole step. 3 to 4, there's only a half step. Now, a good example of that is if you look at the C major scale right there, your E is your 3 and your F is your 4. There are no notes between E and F. So that's a good example of how there's just a half a step between 3 and 4. So once again, there's a whole step between 4 and 5, whole step from 5 to 6, whole step from 6 to 7, and then it goes the same way from 7 to 1 is a half step. And once again, using C as our example, we've got the B and C, 7 and 1. There are no notes between B and C. That's where you get your half step. So I think that's really important to understand. It's just some really basic theory. We're not going to get into anything deep or anything like that in this video. But next, we're just going to look at the intervals and think of, once again, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then back to 1. But your 1 is your root note. Your 2 is a major second. Now, if you were playing something between the 1 and the 2, so here's your 1, that G, here's your 2, that A. Well, if you were to play this A flat or G sharp, that would be a minor second. So we're not going to get into all that right now, but just think of major second, and then of course minor second would be right here. So same thing with the major third, this would be your minor third. So what's important is you think of the root, major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, and once again we could have a minor sixth, major 7, once again we could have a minor 7. So, and then of course to your octave from there. So the intervals, you know, it's really good to understand not only just from 1 to 2, but what it sounds like from 1 to 3, like root to the major third, you know, root to the fourth, root to the, you know, fifth. So those things are real important, and all this is derived from the major scale. So I think this is really just good, helpful information for anybody to get a grasp on. And so the next thing is we're going to talk about these chord types. So your 1, so once again, we're on just the G major right here is what we're talking about. So your 1, which is your G, your 4, which is your C, and your 5, which is your D, are all going to be major chords. So if you have a G chord, and you have a C chord, and you have a D chord, doesn't matter where they're at on the fretboard, doesn't matter what sequence you play them in, that's always going to be in the key of G major, because you got your 1, your 4, and your 5. So all that holds true with all of these keys right here, you know, as far as the 1, 4, 5 being major chords. So it's real easy to figure out the key to a song based on that information. So now we're going to talk about the minor chords, which are going to be your 2, your 3, and your 6. And then we're not going to talk about the 7. That's a diminished chord, but we're not going to really get into that. But think of 1, 4, 5 as your major chords, and 2, 3, 6 as your minor chords. So I think that's really important to get a handle on. And let's go ahead and move on right now. We're going to talk about the 5 positions. And let me bring up my guitar here once again. Give me a second. Right there. So we're going to talk about these 5 positions. Now what we're going to do, we're simply just going to think of the bottom E string, which is your 6th string. And what I showed you earlier was different ways you could play the major scale, the G major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. We're going to play it all on the 6th string. Now you can do it on the 6th string. You can play it on the top E string, the high string. You play it on one note. You can play it just on your open G right there on the 3rd string. So it's real cool just so you can hear that whether you're playing it on one string, whether you're playing it, you know, in some kind of scale form or whatever. It doesn't really matter. So we're going to focus on the bottom E string right here, and we're going to focus on the 1, the 2, the 3. We're going to skip the 4. We're going to go straight to the 5, and then we're going to go to the 6, and then we're back to the 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at those 5 positions, and I'm going to show you in just a moment on a website. But just think of the if you're familiar with the pentatonic scales, your major pentatonic scale is a 5-note scale, and that's basically what we've got. We've got 5 notes. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the notes of the scale are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. And that's really important to understand. So let's go ahead and go back. And now we're going to look at this website. And what we're going to do here, I've got this already on G major. Now this website is, there's a link for that in my free PDF I was talking about. So this is going to be, this is really just a cool website. I can't say enough about it. I've got some videos I've done about this website, but I use it all the time in my videos and personally as well. So I've already got it noted. We're in the key of G major, and that's all the notes in the G major scale. Now that's going to be, you know, I'm going to break it into positions here in just a minute, but if you played every one of these notes in some way or another, you're going to be building, you know, you're going to be building chords, you're going to be building arpeggios, you're going to be building scales, you know, all this kind of stuff. So just think of your 1, for instance, your G. It's always going to be let me go ahead and get some colors going here real quick. Your G right there, and then your major 3rd is a B, and then your 5 is a D. So that's always going to be your G major triad, G, B, D. And every chord that you make, so if you were going to make the A chord, the A minor chord, then you would have A, C, and then E. So every note will work once you start breaking it down for all the chords that go along with the key of G major. And again, this holds true with any key you want to apply this to. So that's really cool stuff. So I wanted to go ahead and show you that. And let's get into the positions now. And what we're going to do, I could show you each position just individually, but I'm going to show you kind of a breakdown of the positions using this diagram. And this diagram basically is all the positions put together, but you kind of have to section them out a certain way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a red line right down here. I'm going to put a red line right down here. Now this right here is going to represent that first position that I showed you already. Now we've already played it 2 or 3 times, but once again, let me just show you, this is exactly what that scale looks like. That's that position all together. And once again, G is our root note. So there's your first position right there. Now let's go ahead and just go through these positions fairly quickly, and then I'll show you some other cool stuff here when it comes to playing over some chord progressions. So your next position is going to be starting with this A note right here. Even though we're in the key of G, there's your G right there, but we're going to use that A note as kind of our anchoring point right there. Again, this G right there, that whole scale right there, that's kind of like your home base. That's kind of like your standard, just, you know, that's your first position again. So what we're going to do is, let me go and get rid of that line there. And what I want to do is break this down with a line right here and a line right there. So I'm going to play this whole scale, and then we're going to talk about where the G notes are. So we make sure, because we're in the key of G, even though we're starting on that A note right there. And if you're familiar with the modes, I'm not going to talk about it in this lesson, but if you were to play from like that A to A and be playing like over an A minor chord, for instance, then that would be more like playing in an A mode scale pattern. But once again, we're just going to stay in the key of G major. So we're going to focus on G as our root note, although we're starting with that A right there. So let's go ahead and put our index finger on that A note right there, 5th fret. And this position looks like this. Now where's our G? Right here. Sorry, missed it. There's our G. And we got another one right there. So if we want to focus on just the G note and play the scale. And once again, we've got our G here. And there's our G note right there. So that's what that scale pattern looks like. That's our second position. Now let's go on to our third position. Swap out our lines here. And we're going to break into our third position. This is going to start with the B. Now remember, I told you we're doing the 1, the 2, and the 3, the 5, and the 6, which is your, your E. So 1 is your G, 2 is your A, 3 is your B, 5 is your D, 6 is your E. So right now we're on 3, and that's going to be with that B right there. So I'm going to put my line right there, and I'm going to put my line right here. So this right here is going to be that scale. I'm going to show you another thing here in just a moment that's really cool about these positions that you're probably going to be familiar with. So let's go ahead and go back to my guitar. And let's look at this. So once again, I've got my index finger on that B note right there. And so here's the position. Here's the pattern. And once again, we end up on our G note right there. We can play that G chord if we want to. So that's that position right there. So now we're going to go down to our next position, which is our fourth position, sorry. But on the scale, it's our 5, which is D. So I'm going to go ahead and put my line right here. And I'm going to put my line right here so I can get that C note in there. And this is going to be that position right there. So let's go through that very quickly. And here we go. So my middle finger is going to be on the D right there, 10th fret. And it's going to look like this. One more time, missed it. I'm going to get it right this time. Here we go. I'm going to get it right this time, I promise. there's our G note right there. And there's our G note right there as well. So let's go ahead and go to our next position. And this will be our 5th position. And we're going to focus on this E note right here, and I'm going to put my line right there. And I'm going to put my line right there. Now, if you are familiar with your pentatonic scales, you should be familiar with this scale, at least part of it, because from the E to the G to the A to the B to the D to the E, then again G, A, B to D, E to G. If you look at just that part of the scale, that's your minor pentatonic scale. So your minor pentatonic scale is probably one of the first scales that most people usually learn. So that's what that sounds like. So let's go ahead and look at the full scale. Once again, we're starting with this E note right here. We got it with our index finger. Here's your minor pentatonic scale, just so you can see it. And now here's the full 7-note scale. And once again, here's our G right there. And there's a G right there. So in this scale pattern right here, think of that G right there. One more time. That G right there. That G right there. And that G right there. So that is all of your positions. And once you get these down, and once again, let me just say that, it's great to get them all down and be able to play all over the fretboard, but just start out with like the first position and then just kind of work on it. We're going to work on playing over some backing tracks here in just a moment. I'm going to focus on just playing in the first position. And I'm going to, focus on kind of playing on in each position and then go from there. So what I'll do is I'll just, start the first backing track, and I'm just going to play like in the first position. I'll go ahead and let you know when I'm playing in the second position. And then what I'll do is do another backing track and then do like the third and the fourth position, maybe the fifth or whatever. But on the last backing track, I'll just play all over the fretboard and just kind of give you an idea of how to connect the patterns. And it's just right off the top of my head. It's not anything, you need to memorize or you need to, try to figure out. It's just some stuff that I'm just right off the top of my head, just kind of jamming. So let me show you one more thing here, and then we'll get into that. I do want to show you one more thing about these positions that I feel like is really important. You may be familiar with the caged system, and if you are, then I just want to show you kind of how this works. Now I'll be doing probably another live stream at some point talking about your cage system. But if you were to take and look at all these positions, starting this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and that one. So there's your G major chord right there. That's going to be your E shape of the caged system. Here's your G chord right here. Of course, you can bring this note in there. It's kind of a stretch right there. But that is your D shape of the caged position. Okay? And then we talked about this being the G note right there. We talked about this chord a while ago. That's your C position, or your C shape of the cage system. Once again, we're just in the key of G, or we're just playing G chords actually. And that's your C shape. Then you go from this same G. Now you've got your A shape. And then you go to this G. And you got your G shape, or you can play it like this. So once again, you've got E, D, C, course, you're back to E right here. So once again, that's for another lesson, but it's really cool once you start tying those case position chords in there, and especially once you start learning the chords within each position, because there's so many things you can do. Once you start to figure out some things, it's not all about soloing. So much of it is about being able to play chords in whatever position you're in. So again, that's for another lesson, but it is kind of cool, and it's great to understand that concept. So now let's go ahead and look at some backing tracks. And this is just kind of going to be some fun, just kind of jamming, but I'm not going to play, 5 minutes or so on each track. I'm just going to play just a little bit. So, just give you a taste of each position. And then once again, we're going to talk about, me playing in all the positions kind of all over the fretboard and kind of going from there. So first thing we're going to do, and all you really got to do is go to YouTube and you search guitar backing track in G major. And once again, you got thousands of choices. So what it really comes down to, let me just say this, what it really comes down to is in any chord progression that's got the chords that go along with the G major scale. Once again, when you're playing in this G major right here, you've got your G major, you've got your A minor, you've got your B minor, you've got your C major, your D major, and your E minor. Once again, we're not really going to worry about the 7 right now. But if you've got a chord progression that, say, starts with the G, and then say it goes to it starts with the 1, and then goes to the 5, which is the D, then it goes to the 4, which is the C, or maybe it goes to the 6, which is the E. We're going to look at some chord progressions kind of like that, and think of, as long as those are the chords that we're playing over, then all the notes in the G major scale are really going to work. However, the idea is to use your ear and hit the target notes of each chord, or at least land on some of the root notes. I'm going to show you some things, and I'm just going to play off the top of my head. So you're going to hear sometimes whenever I hit the chord tones perfectly, and you're going to hear other times where I'm kind of maybe not dead on the money, but you just kind of got to just play by ear and just kind of feel that for yourself. So I think that's really important kind of to understand. And again, you can get so deep into music theory, talking about that, and there's a lot more to it, but I really just enjoy playing by ear, and I really feel like developing your ear is one of the best things that you can do. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jam to one of these tracks. We're going to start with this one. And again, if you're in the chat right now, shout out to me what numbers these chords are. You got a G major, you got an E minor, you got a C major, and a D major. If you're in the chat, or if you're even in the comments, if you're during the replay, let me know what numbers are those right there. So let's go ahead and jam to it, see what it sounds like. And I'm just going to be playing right now in the first position, like we talked about. All right, now I'm going to go to the second position. right, let's go ahead and change our backing track. And let's get to another one here. Let's go ahead. I like this next one. This is a cool track right here. This right here is going to be G, D, E minor, C. So same chords, just a different sequence. So you've got your 1 is your G, your D is your 5, your E minor is your 6, and your C is your 4. So let's go ahead and jam to that a little bit, and then we'll talk about it here in just a moment. And I believe now we're in our 3rd position. Missed a few notes there. That's what I meant to do. All right, now I'm going to move on to our 4th pattern. D right here. All right, now I'm going to move on to the 5th pattern. All right, for our last chord progression and backing track, once again, I've got all these backing track links in the description for you, so you can jam with them as well. This one here has got a little bit of a different chord progression. This one here's got your 1, your 5, your A minor is your 2, and then your C again is your 4. So this is kind of a cool track. This time I'm just going to jam, and I'm going to play all over the fretboard, just kind of work through the patterns, and you can just kind of think about, you know, what pattern I'm going to, and kind of where I'm at on the fretboard. And that's what you want to do. You want to be able to visualize that up and down the fretboard. So I'm just going to be playing stuff off the top of my head once again. So let's just see what happens here. All right, so that gives you a little taste right there of just playing through all of the scale positions, just kind of all over the fretboard. Again, this is just basically the way I'm improvising and the way I'm just playing by ear. What you're going to do with these chord progressions is something totally different. You're going to be playing in your style. You're going to be playing more what you hear. That's what's cool about playing over these chord progressions and playing over backing tracks. You're really not focused on any specific solo or any specific scale or anything like that. You can just pretty much play whatever you want. Now you can be more analytical and more technical, and really focus on those chord tones and try to hit every chord tone when you're playing each chord. Or you can just kind of play through the scale notes that and just kind of play it by ear, which is kind of more what I was doing. Once again, once you learn these 5 patterns, it doesn't matter what key you're in. You can play the same 1, 5, 2, 4 chord progression in any key. Doesn't matter. I can go right back and show you, the other scales here that we were talking about. This G major scale is where we're at, but if we were playing in the C major scale, once again, your C is your 1. You've got your A minor is your 6. You've got your F is your 4. Your G is your 5, whatever. And it's all going to be the same no matter what key you're in. You just have to move these patterns around. And that's kind of really what's cool about it. And these scales right here basically are in the order of the circle of fifths. They're the first 5. I kind of like to call them the caged keys, but that's not accurate. So don't hold me to that. But anyways, basically it's just the circle of fifths. So C major doesn't have any sharps and flats. G major has 1 sharp. D major has 2 sharps. A major has 3. E major has 4 sharps, and so forth, so on. So I just like to look at it from that standpoint. But again, that's just me. But once again, I really hope that this has been helpful for you. I hope you'll download my PDF, be a part of my community. Be sure and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out some other videos. So like I say, there's just a lot of cool stuff you can learn there. And I'm going to go ahead and see if there are any questions. I see Jeffrey Boyle. Hey Jeffrey, how are you? Thanks for joining me. Appreciate you being here. You have any questions at all for me at all? Once again, what I'm doing here is just talking about improvising and committing these positions to memory. Once you do that and you start to connect the positions, again, the ultimate goal is always going to be having the freedom and the creativity to just be able to play up and down the fretboard. Again, I was showing you basically these 5 patterns that went from G on the 3rd fret on the bottom, E string, all the way to the G on the top, high E string, so, and again, you can play all over the fretboard, in any key. So I think that's really cool. I think that's something that's really helpful. I know for me, once I was able to kind of get all those, positions down, it just gives you more confidence. It really does. It gives you just more, you can really feel the music. And again, I'm probably a little rigid, playing today, or tonight, but overall, once you start to really start jamming and really start getting free and start really getting creative and stuff, that's where it's all at, man. And I think that's really important, and I think once again, playing by ear is one of the best things you can do as far as developing your ear. So, hey, Jeffrey from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Hey, I really appreciate you being here. Thanks again, man. And join me for another live stream. I'll be doing more of these for sure. But thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just check out my other videos. Subscribe to my channel and watch for some more live streams, kind of like this right here. Once again, I appreciate you being a part of my community. And man, just keep rocking, and have fun with the guitar. That's what it's all about. So until next time, I will see you in the next video or the next live stream.